My 26 female, fiance 26 male, sat me down yesterday and talked about how he feels like I don't contribute enough to the household, particularly financially. I was a bit caught off guard by this, but I was willing to hear him out since he wasn't wrong. He makes a lot more than I do, and we've always split bills accordingly, which ends up being about 80% on him. I asked what he wanted me to pay now, and he was adamant about it being 50-50. I asked if everything was okay with his job, or if he needed to take fewer hours, and he wouldn't answer me. I honestly wouldn't have gotten upset if there seemed like an actual reason behind it, but he just said he'd been thinking about it a lot, over and over, every time I asked what brought him to this conclusion, what was going on. Eventually he just said, "This is how it's going to be, take it or leave it." Those exact words, in response to literally everything I said. Full shutdown, no explanations. I told him that was fine. I'll take it, and then asked if he'd made a Zillow account or expected me to. He looked confused and asked why we would need a Zillow account. I explained there was no way I could afford half rent on our current place, so we'll probably have to move into a one-bedroom apartment. He got mad and asked why I didn't have savings. I told him that I do, but I'm not paying rent out of my savings because that's a terrible and unsustainable idea. I also began to go over our new food budget, our new entertainment budget, and that we'd probably have to sell the cars and get one less expensive one because I can't afford half of the payments on an Audi and a Land Rover. Then I explained that date nights would have to be reduced too, and we could still do like Buffalo Wild Wings, but I preferred Thursday nights because you get 2 orders of boneless wings for one. Basically, if he wants me to pay half, we're living within my means, not his anymore. He's agreed to it, but since then he's been incredibly angry. He's not saying or doing anything, but he's walking around the house in this cloud of anger. I sent him 6 Zillow listings, all of which he's called uninhabitable for various reasons, some of which I think were valid, others I disagree with. He's now saying that I'm being unfair and manipulative, and that he tried to come to me with a serious concern about our relationship. I'm making it impossible for him to talk to me, and I'm bulldozing over him. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I really loved your style. He thought he had a gold digger, and you flipped the script pretty well. This was awesome. Next question, though. You seem like such an intelligent and decent person. Why are you with such an ignorant and self-centered idiot? I'm wondering whether he's throwing this up so that OP breaks up with him. Then he can call her a gold digger, or he may have gotten himself a side piece he now needs to fund. Girl, he's calling you manipulative for trying to comply with his wishes without depleting your entire savings and running yourself into debt? You need to think long and hard about someone like this. It sounds like malicious compliance without the intent of being malicious. That's just an extra perk. And what she's doing or suggesting is completely logical. You don't live in the means of the highest earner. Everyone else would be drowning trying to keep up. Good for her. And on the plus side, he's kind of showing her who he is. I hope she gets to the bottom of why such a sudden change. Wait it out a bit. Maybe ask around your mutual friends if they know something. But be prepared to be kicked to the curb potentially. To me, it sounds like something happened with his job, and he's not able to tell you yet, for whatever reasons. I would try to have another calm chat about it with him, also showing him how much you'd be able to afford long term. Don't move forward with your plans of getting married until you both agree on your finances. I don't like how he issued an ultimatum without an explanation. I, 25 female, am having a conflict with my husband's sister, 36. She's getting married in 2 weeks, and her dress code is incredibly complicated to adhere to for me. It's black tie, long sleeves, and floor-length gowns. The conflict happens because I'm currently 34 weeks pregnant and overheat very quickly, and the wedding is entirely outside, in the middle of the day, in the southern USA, where it's incredibly hot. I cannot be in a long-sleeve floor-length gown in the heat for 8 hours. I've sent her a few dresses to try to compromise, which I'll link in the comments for further information, but she's completely adamant about exactly what she wants. I told her yesterday that I cannot attend her wedding if she doesn't budge even slightly on the dress code. I told her she had the right to have her wedding exactly how she wanted it, for it to be her perfect day, but I had the right to look out for my own health. She freaked out at me and told me I was being incredibly selfish and that for once, it isn't about me and my darn baby, which she only said because she's jealous. I'm having the first grandchild, and she felt like she should have had a baby before me and my husband. Since then, my husband's side of the family have told me that I'm selfish and to just compromise one day to keep the peace. I don't think I need to compromise my health for her wedding. Am I the idiot in being unreasonable? Edit. Just to clear some stuff up, I suppose. This isn't for religious reasons. It's personal. She thinks the style is elegant. Also, I've told her, black tie isn't for a noon wedding in a field, which is where this wedding is. I made a joke about her having a third wedding. This is her second marriage. I'm not shaming her for having a second wedding, but she is very high maintenance. I had a Pinterest board for my wedding decorations as well. The snark was that all her ideas were combined from multiple different themes and boards. Sister-in-law is going to be a sweaty, gross mess. Her dress is also long-sleeved and floor-length. It's hot. Her wedding's outside. Everyone's going to be a hot, sweaty mess. Not the idiot who has a black tie, long-sleeve-only dress code in the summer. Her photos are going to look ridiculous. Everyone will be sweaty with melting makeup. I can't imagine who told her this was a good idea. What about older relatives or kids? Sister-in-law is the major idiot. It's a major health risk for their guest. Grabbing popcorn and waiting to see how many people actually adhere to said dress code. Pregnant woman here. Never mind the fact that black tie isn't for daytime at all. There's no way I'd be able to adhere to her dress code. Today I just went outside in just a t-shirt and jeggings in 84 degrees Fahrenheit heat, and I was overheating, and I wasn't out for 8 hours. When you're pregnant, your temperature's already higher than normal without being forced to wear black tie attire. OP, tell the flying monkeys to go fly south for the winter. Non-pregnant woman here, and there's no way I could adhere to that dress code, even if the wedding was indoors with AC, unless the AC was the best AC in the world at set to max cooling. Also, you can mention to her that a black tie wedding traditionally happens after 5:30 p.m. She should adjust her attire to a garden party, which would be entirely appropriate, or maybe she'll revise the dress code for her next wedding. Stay home and don't worry about it. Karma is on its way. I, 45 male, have a daughter, Lily, young teen. My wife, Marie, 43, and I have been separated for over 5 years now and have split custody of Lily. However, she prefers to stay with me. I'm not sure if it's cultural, but my wife and her family have always insisted that Lily let her hair grow, as they believe the longer your hair is, the more feminine you are. And they always took pride in how long their own hair is. Lily followed as she didn't want to cause a scene. Lily's hair was going past her thighs. Lily was staying with me last weekend, and I was about to go to bed. I saw her crying while brushing her hair. I asked what was wrong, and it felt like Lily was having a breakdown. She started to cry harder and told me how much she hates her hair, that it takes her hours each day to brush through it due to how thick it is and how hot and tired it makes her feel. I'm not even mentioning styling it. She also told me how she wanted to dye it, but Marie wouldn't let her do this, as it would ruin her hair and is in bad taste. I hugged her and told her not to worry and that I'd think of something. I called my sister and explained the situation to her. She organized an appointment with her hairstylist the next day to look at Lily's hair and do something with it. So the next day I took Lily to the hair salon where she cut her hair. She chose a long bob, so her hair is now just above reaching her shoulders with the rest of the hair donated. She also had some highlights done, which made Lily super happy. When Lily got home, Marie called me immediately and said I'm an idiot and what have I done to our daughter. She and her whole family started berating me for it and making horrible comments about Lily, so she returned to me and stayed with me. Marie took it to social media, saying I'm a horrible father that has stripped my daughter out of her womanhood and femininity. Even my parents called me about it and said I shouldn't have taken Lily to the hairdresser without discussing it first with Marie. Not the idiot. Have stripped my daughter out of her womanhood and femininity? Wow. They're more concerned about what others think than what's going on with your daughter. What's Lily supposed to do with this enforced symbol of womanhood she's carrying as a young teen? The horrible thoughts that brings up. It sounds like an outdated burden and repressive. Lily must feel so light and happy with her new haircut. I was 16 before my parents let me cut my hair to the waist. It wasn't even a religious thing or anything. My mom was just a tyrant. Kids made fun of me relentlessly. I got gum stuck in my hair, to which my mom would just pull out the peanut butter. My hair would even get into the toilet sometimes. That was disgusting. I don't find a problem with parents setting some limits on hair, like no dyeing. After all, some of those chemicals are carcinogens, or no mohawks. Yet, when a parent has a child totally under their thumb and won't let them express individuality, that's a huge red flag to me. Your daughter's old enough to decide her own body and personal image. She doesn't even have womanhood yet. She has girlhood, and that and her femininity are not dependent on the length of her hair. Her mom was being controlled and frankly abusive, forcing her to maintain that hair, even if she wasn't comfortable. Also, try to get full custody of your daughter, please. As an adult who was in a similar situation, I wish my dad had been relentless in trying to extricate me from my mother's grasp. I, a teen male, have to write a paper for English class about an inspiring romantic relationship in my life. I'm not sure what the point of it is, but our teacher said it will become relevant in a few weeks. My stepmom and stepsister both assumed I'd write about my dad and stepmom's relationship. It was brought up when my stepmom asked why I hadn't asked her and dad any questions about their relationship yet. I was confused as to why she was asking that and wasn't putting two and two together right then. She said I should at least ask some questions before doing my paper. This was when it clicked with me, and I told her my paper wasn't on them. My stepsister was in the room at the time and asked me why. I asked why I'd write an essay about their marriage instead of my parents' marriage. My stepmom said because she and my dad's marriage was a forever one, and seeing as my mom is dead and my dad isn't good at talking about stuff, it makes more sense to write about them. She said she and my dad would be more inspiring for me anyway. I asked her if she ever thought I tried not to think about their relationship too hard, since she and my dad had a very long history, and that as soon as my mom died, he ran back to her and married her. Did she ever think that wasn't something I loved, but something I struggled with, as the son he had with his first wife? They were all about, we're a family, it's okay to admit this is better, and that kind of thing. I told them I was writing about my grandparents and to leave it alone. They pushed the issue and said it made more sense to write about your parents, and I said it's already been pointed out that I can't, since my mom is dead and my dad is useless with this stuff. Stepmom said that she was my parent. I ignored that and went on about my day. But they brought it up again a couple of days after that and said I should want to write about my dad and stepmom. And I was weird about it because they would be the primary relationship to model myself after. I snapped. I told them that they were idiots if they thought my most inspiring relationship was one that showed how little my dad cared about my mom, something he said mom would have felt if she knew he went back to the ex he never got over. I told them they were full of themselves to think that meant so much to me that I would crap on my mom. I also told them they were deluded. They're delusional to think that the woman who showed up at my mom's funeral to get my dad back would be the person I would find inspiring. They're angry that I said what I did to them, and I might be a jerk for it. Am I the idiot? Also, my stepsister's like 19 or 20. My dad and stepmom married when I was 9, 8-ish months after my mom died. Not the idiot. Personally, it feels incredibly idiotic for your stepmom to assume that she can replace your mom in your heart just because she isn't around anymore. I'm a mom and a stepmom, and I've always felt like there's a very fine boundary line I know shouldn't be crossed. She's crossing it, unfortunately. Anyone trying to force you to feel a certain way is an idiot. You should write about whoever you want. Stepmother is a one-note singer. Me, 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 me. Dad knows who keeps his bed warm and acts accordingly. OP did nothing wrong. They kept picking at the scab until it hurt, and only then did he retaliate. Stepmom has a literal case of main character syndrome. Technically, OP can write about dad and stepmom. Inspiring doesn't have to mean the subjects themselves were great. It can be inspiring, as in they inspire you to be better people because they suck, and they've shown you how not to act. I'd totally be petty and write about them, but that would probably get OP grounded. So my male 25, girlfriend 24, Katie, and I have been next-door neighbors for about 1.5 years now, but we've only started dating in the last 4 or 5 months. A couple of days ago, our landlady, 59, visited me. That day, Katie had a day off and saw our landlady leaving my apartment. She joined in the conversation and asked what was wrong with my apartment. I guess she assumed I must have called the landlady because something broke. Well, my mom responded with, "Does she need a reason to visit her son?" Katie looked a bit shocked and left us alone. But that evening, she was more distant than usual, and when I asked what was wrong, she told me to explain why I'd been lying to her for so long. I was confused. Then she explained to me that she was angry to find out my mother was also the building's landlady, and she wanted to know if I pay rent, what my mom's last name is. I told her I pay rent like everyone else. In fact, more. I told her my only advantage was not having to pay a premium. I told her that my mom returned to her maiden name after the divorce. I also told her that she never asked directly where my mom works, and I never saw a reason to tell her. She's still distant. I'm unsure if it was such a big deal to hide this. You are the idiot. She has a right to know if she's dating the landlady's son. She may not have wanted to get involved with you had she known that. If the relationship ends badly, she may fear your mom would make her living situation uncomfortable, or she just may be uncomfortable with it, period. She should have been told because it does affect her. I find it odd that he calls her landlady from the get-go. It's odd that you never mentioned it, and your mom's reply was actually kind of rude. How was she supposed to know that your mom was visiting and not that something was wrong with your apartment? Girlfriend knew your mom as the landlady. She drew a logical conclusion based on the information she had. Right? I had to read it 5 times to understand it. At first I thought OP lived with his mom and that the landlady was his second mom. The way he switched from calling her the landlady with no context to saying, "my mom said," was just nonsensical. I think OP's the idiot for that alone. And if he twists things the same way with his girlfriend to try to conceal basic facts, which I suspect based on the story, then he didn't just tell her. He purposely tried to hide it, which makes him the idiot for that too. Yeah, imagine the things Mom knows from the inspections and repairs. She would have seen his girlfriend's personal items, visitors, what she's like when she thinks she's just chilling at home, all of which can be awkward or embarrassing. It's not just the neighbor. It's the neighbor that's been in her home repeatedly and runs the place. I'd feel uncomfortable too. Now I know that when I start dating someone, I first ask whether their parents own the space I'm renting. Come on.